Hi, I'm Corey Yangston, and you're listening to KJAG.
The amount of time and the number of years that I had spent working on this, the close calls, only to still have a rejection letter come in the mail. Sometimes, I mean, I'm pretty optimistic. I kept working at it, but there were times when I did get a little down in the dumps. And you know, there was maybe an opportunity at a particular publishing house, and they were interested. I have a manuscript from before Moon Over Manifest that did not get published, and that's the one I probably have the most rejection letters from. And you know, if it was one of those things where I thought it was going to happen and then it didn't, I might have a little pity party for a day or so. And my husband was wonderful.
I'm Lydia Lowe, and I'm standing here talking to Clare Vanderpool, the author of Moon Over Manifest. And can you tell us a little something about your book? What prompted you to write it?
Well, my book is very much about place and about home. And it's a journey of a young girl who is sent to a small town in southeast Kansas. It's based on Frontenac, but I name it Manifest. And it's a place where her father had spent some time as a boy. And in 1936, all of a sudden, she's sent there for the summer. And she's been on the road drifting from place to place with her dad, so she's never really experienced home for any length of time. So it's kind of a combination of her trying to find her place and her home, and also looking for clues into her dad's past.
Okay. And the era that you set it in was the 1930s. Is there a specific reason you use that era as opposed to present day?
Well, I love historical fiction, so that's part of it. That was also a logical time when, or a likely time when a girl would have been on the road drifting from place to place. Actually, there are two storylines going on. So there's a 1936 time period with Abilene, the main character, but then she meets Miss Sadie, who is a diviner, who really, she doesn't foretell the future, she really only tells stories from the past. And as Abilene is looking for clues into her father's past, Miss Sadie starts telling her stories from 1918, when this town was in its mining heyday. Mm-hmm. And so there really are two different time periods going on.
I liked the character of Miss Sadie when she comes across her in the book, and it's very interesting. How did you develop that character?
You know, initially, she is a very interesting character. Initially, she was going to be one of several storytellers, but as I kind of had developed that first backstory with Miss Sadie, she seemed like she rose to the forefront as far as being the person who bears the story of the town. And you know, a lot of those things kind of come from family stories and things like that. I have family from Frontenac, so I had heard a lot of my grandmother's stories from that time and that place. But Miss Sadie just came up as an interesting kind of Hungarian storytelling woman. Yeah,
I really liked her character. I thought she was excellent. Do you think you'll do any other books off this? Will there be a series, maybe with Miss Sadie as the main character? Or?
You know, I do get asked that question, and I feel like this was a very complete story, and I would certainly not want to set up a scenario in which it would just be, you know, not as good as the first one, that kind of thing. I would say never, but right now I don't have a story in mind as a sequel. My next book is completely different.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit about your next book?
Yes, the next book is called Navigating Early. It is a Kansas boy this time in 1945 who is uprooted from his home. He's kind of got the opposite story of Abilene. He has had a place and a home and a community, and it's very grounded, and something happens and he's uprooted and put in a boys' boarding school in Maine. So the story really takes place in Maine. He meets another boy named Early Auden, who he calls that strangest of boys, and Early is kind of a quirky character, and the two of them form an unlikely friendship and go on a quest on the Appalachian Trail in Maine.
Why do you think this is primarily a children's book, or would you say that?
You know, I knew I always wanted to have my book on the children's bookshelf, but other than that, I didn't gear it in a way that, you know, in my writing or in my thinking of the story, thinking, okay, I need to change that because this is a book for kids. I just wrote the story that I wanted to tell, and that apparently needed to be written. So, I think it has a broader appeal. I've heard from many adults that they've enjoyed the book.
Yeah, it seems like I have lots of friends who are adults that have read the book, and it seems like it actually maybe adults are reading it more than children are.
Really? Yeah.
But it appeals to all ages.
Well, I like that. Those are the kinds of books I like to read that aren't, just pigeonholed in a certain category or a certain genre. And even as far as genre, there's mystery in it, and there's adventure and historical elements, of course.
So where do you get your story ideas from? That's always a popular question to ask.
I know. I think for me, I just kind of grew up around storytellers, and in my family, we were always one to reiterate something that happened during the day, and it would come out in kind of story form. So I've always been a big reader. So I think for me, just kind of being observant and paying attention is where stories comes from. Yeah.
And do you have a place on the website, a website you'd like to?
Well, my website is www.clarevanderpool.com, and if you're interested, it has things about the book Moon Over Manifest. There's a little bit I need to probably update as far as the next book, and information just about writing, tips on writing. Sometimes kids and adults want to know your approach to writing, so there's some of that, and the things I like to read. So it's kind of conversational in the way it's presented.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
And can you tell us why you're here today at the Hutchinson Public Library?
Well, we have a big literary festival today, and I have been honored to be invited to speak today. So I'm talking about the book and kind of the story behind the story, some of the research that I did, and where different parts of the story came from. And I just always enjoy speaking at different places in Kansas because I'm about as homegrown as you get, and so it's always an honor for me.
Well, thank you. It's been very nice meeting you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
And this is Lydia Lowe at the Hutchinson Public Library with Clare Vanderpool.
My kids were all home from school, which meant there were a lot of neighbor kids in the house at the time, a lot of noise, a lot of action going on. And the phone rang, and it was Andrea, my agent. And she said, "Are you sitting down?" And of course, my heart kind of sped up. And I went out on the front porch, and she said, "Random House wants to buy your book." And I said, I had always kind of imagined that magical moment for really, at that point, about 15 years, I had imagined that moment.
Phelps to the Kinsey Six. The best of the best from Central Kansas and beyond. We do it all. We are KJAG Radio and the Jiggy Jaguar Radio Show. Log on to JiggyJaguar.com and KJAGradio.com for more.